Crying is often perceived as a sign of weakness in our society, but it holds much deeper meaning. Those who cry over small things often have heightened emotional sensitivity, offering a glimpse into their inner world, brimming with depth, vulnerability, and compassion. While this trait might seem inconvenient to the individual or misunderstood by others, it has profound psychological and spiritual implications. This script will explore why some people cry over small things, what it says about their emotional and mental state, and how they can channel this sensitivity into personal growth and self-understanding. Tears are not just emotional expressions. They are a biological phenomenon with profound implications. There are 3 types of tears: basal, reflex, and emotional. Basal tears keep your eyes moist, reflex tears clear irritants, and emotional tears are tied to feelings. For those who cry frequently over seemingly small triggers, emotional tears dominate. Research shows that emotional tears contain stress hormones and toxins, making crying a natural stress reliever. When someone cries over small things, their body might be finding a way to release pent-up emotions that haven't been processed fully. This suggests that the act of crying is a necessary outlet, helping the person achieve a state of balance. Interestingly, the hormone oxytocin, also known as the love hormone, is released when we cry emotionally. This explains why crying often leads to a sense of relief and calmness. For those who cry a lot, this biological response could be an indicator of their brain's attempt to self-soothe, emphasizing the importance of embracing, rather than repressing, their emotions. People who cry over small things are often labeled as overly sensitive, but sensitivity is a double-edged sword. While it can be a source of vulnerability, it also equips these individuals with heightened empathy and emotional intelligence. They tend to pick up on subtle cues in others, often recognizing pain, joy, or discomfort before anyone else. Their crying isn't always about sadness. It could be triggered by joy, beauty, or even a sense of injustice. For example, they might tear up at the sight of a kind gesture or feel deeply moved by a piece of music or art. This profound connection to the world around them makes them more attuned to life's nuances, something many people overlook. Instead of viewing sensitivity as a flaw, it should be reframed as a gift. Sensitivity allows for deeper relationships, creative insights, and the ability to connect with others on a profound level. Learning to channel this sensitivity positively can transform crying from a perceived weakness into a powerful strength. Frequent crying can also stem from unresolved emotional issues or a history of trauma. People who cry easily might have experienced situations where their emotions were suppressed or invalidated, making their tears a natural outlet for emotions they couldn't express in the past. Childhood experiences play a significant role in shaping emotional responses. For example, children who grew up in environments where they felt unsafe or unsupported often carry this heightened emotional response into adulthood. Their tears become a protective mechanism, a way of signaling distress when words fail. It's also worth considering the role of mental health conditions like anxiety or depression. Both conditions can heighten emotional responses, making small things feel overwhelming. Recognizing the root cause of frequent crying is the first step toward understanding and managing it. Seeking therapy or counseling can be transformative, offering tools to process emotions healthily. Society often judges crying harshly, labeling it as a sign of fragility or lack of control. This stigma is especially pronounced for men, who are often told to man up and suppress their tears. For women, frequent crying is sometimes dismissed as being overly dramatic or hormonal. These stereotypes fail to recognize the human need to express emotions. Historically, crying was viewed as a sign of strength and honesty. In many cultures, tears were considered sacred, a testament to the soul's depth and sincerity. Challenging societal perceptions begins with individuals. By normalizing crying and acknowledging its purpose, we can create a culture where emotional expression is celebrated, not shamed. For those who cry frequently, it's important to embrace their emotions unapologetically, recognizing that tears are a testament to their humanity. While sensitivity is a gift, managing it is crucial for those who cry frequently. One effective strategy is mindfulness, which helps individuals observe their emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Practicing deep breathing or meditation during moments of intense emotion can provide immediate relief. Journaling is another powerful tool. Writing down thoughts and feelings helps process emotions and identify triggers, making it easier to understand why certain events elicit tears. Over time, this practice fosters self-awareness and emotional resilience. Setting boundaries is equally important. Sensitive individuals often absorb the emotions of those around them, which can be draining. Learning to say no and creating spaces for self-care ensures they have the energy to manage their emotions effectively. Crying is a universal language that bridges gaps between people. When someone cries, it elicits empathy and compassion from others, fostering deeper connections. This is why people who cry easily often have strong social bonds. They're unafraid to show their vulnerability, encouraging others to do the same. Tears can be a catalyst for healing in relationships. Whether it's apologizing, expressing gratitude, or sharing pain, crying adds authenticity to conversations. For those who cry frequently, their tears often invite others to share their emotions, creating a safe space for open dialogue. Recognizing the role of tears in building emotional connections can empower individuals to embrace their sensitivity. Instead of hiding their tears, they can use them as a tool to deepen their relationships and foster understanding. In many spiritual traditions, tears are seen as a form of purification. They're believed to cleanse the soul, washing away pain, guilt, and negative energy. For those who cry frequently, their tears might signify a deeper spiritual journey, a process of releasing old wounds and embracing growth. Tears are also associated with surrender and faith. When someone cries out of despair or hope, it often reflects their trust in a higher power to guide them through challenges. This act of surrender can be deeply healing, offering a sense of peace and acceptance. By viewing their tears through a spiritual lens, individuals can transform their crying into a sacred practice. Each tear becomes a step toward wholeness, a reminder of their connection to something greater than themselves. In many spiritual traditions, tears are seen as a form of purification. They're believed to cleanse the soul, washing away pain, guilt, and negative energy. For those who cry frequently, their tears might signify a deeper spiritual journey, a process of releasing old wounds and embracing growth. Tears are also associated with surrender and faith. When someone cries out of despair or hope, it often reflects their trust in a higher power to guide them through challenges. This act of surrender can be deeply healing, offering a sense of peace and acceptance. By viewing their tears through a spiritual lens, individuals can transform their crying into a sacred practice. Each tear becomes a step toward wholeness, a reminder of their connection to something greater than themselves. Vulnerability is often feared in a world that glorifies strength and independence, but it is the foundation of meaningful human connection. When someone cries, they break down the barriers that separate them from others, inviting empathy and understanding. This openness can be profoundly healing for both the person crying and those witnessing it. Frequent criers have an inherent ability to access this vulnerable state, making them uniquely equipped to foster deep, genuine relationships. Their willingness to express emotions openly encourages others to do the same, creating spaces where healing and connection can flourish. Vulnerability through tears also allows individuals to confront their deepest fears and insecurities. By facing these emotions head-on, they can begin to process and release them, breaking free from the cycles of pain or avoidance that often keep people stuck. For those who cry over small things, vulnerability can become a source of strength. Instead of seeing their tears as a liability, they can view them as a way to deepen their relationships and heal old wounds. Over time, this practice builds emotional resilience, enabling them to navigate life's challenges with greater courage and authenticity. Emotions are like waves; they ebb and flow, often building in intensity before subsiding. Tears serve as a natural mechanism for regulating these waves, helping the body and mind find equilibrium. People who cry frequently are often more in tune with this process, allowing them to release emotions before they become overwhelming. When we suppress emotions, they don't disappear. Instead, they manifest in such as anxiety, physical tension, or outbursts. Crying acts as a release valve, preventing these emotions from building to a breaking point. For frequent criers, this process might feel inconvenient in the moment, but it ultimately protects their mental and physical health. Research shows that crying activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation and recovery. This is why people often feel calmer and more grounded after a good cry. For those who cry easily, understanding this physiological response can help them see their tears as a form of self-care. One of the biggest challenges for frequent criers is the fear of being judged or misunderstood. Society often labels crying as a sign of weakness or lack of control, which can lead individuals to hide their emotions. This suppression not only isolates them but also prevents them from experiencing the full benefits of emotional expression. Overcoming this fear begins with self-acceptance. Frequent criers must learn to embrace their emotions without shame, recognizing that their tears are a natural and healthy response. By reframing crying as a strength rather than a flaw, they can begin to challenge societal stereotypes and live more authentically. It's also helpful to seek out supportive environments where emotional expression is welcomed. Surrounding oneself with compassionate, understanding individuals can make it easier to cry openly without fear of judgment. These relationships act as a buffer against societal pressures, fostering a sense of safety and belonging. In many spiritual traditions, tears are seen as a form of prayer or communion with the divine. They represent a surrender to something greater than oneself, whether it's God, the universe, or the flow of life. For those who cry frequently, their tears might be an unconscious way of connecting with the sacred. Tears often arise in moments of profound gratitude, awe, or longing. These emotions remind us of our smallness in the grand scheme of things, inviting humility and reverence. For frequent criers, this spiritual perspective can transform their tears into a source of meaning and purpose. By embracing crying as a spiritual practice, individuals can deepen their connection to themselves and the divine. Each tear becomes a step toward healing and wholeness, a reminder of their place in the interconnected web of existence. For frequent criers, building a life that honors their sensitivity is essential. This might involve choosing careers, relationships, and environments that align with their emotional needs and values. Instead of trying to fit into societal molds, they can create spaces where their sensitivity is celebrated rather than suppressed. Practices like mindfulness, therapy, and self-reflection can help them navigate the challenges of emotional sensitivity. These tools provide a framework for processing emotions, setting boundaries, and finding balance in a world that often feels overwhelming. Ultimately, those who cry frequently have a unique opportunity to live deeply and authentically. By embracing their emotions and using them as a guide, they can create a life that reflects their inner truth, offering inspiration and hope to others along the way. Crying is not just a biological response. It's a form of communication and an integral part of emotional intelligence. For individuals who cry often, these tears represent a heightened ability to process and express their emotions authentically. Emotional intelligence involves understanding, managing, and effectively communicating one's emotions, and frequent criers often excel in these areas. Through their tears, these individuals articulate complex emotions that may otherwise remain unspoken. A tearful response to a kind word, a sentimental scene, or a moment of personal triumph demonstrates a deep connection to their internal world. This ability to feel intensely can also make them more empathetic toward others, strengthening their relationships. Furthermore, frequent crying enhances self-awareness. Recognizing what triggers these emotional responses can provide valuable insights into personal values, unresolved issues, or hidden fears. With this self-awareness comes the ability to grow and adapt, using tears as a guide to what matters most in life. Science supports the idea that crying can be a therapeutic release. Emotional tears differ chemically from those produced by irritation, like chopping onions. They contain stress hormones and toxins, which are expelled from the body during crying. This biological process serves as a built-in mechanism for emotional cleansing and physical restoration. For frequent criers, this natural stress relief system is particularly important. Crying resets the body's stress response, often bringing a sense of calm and clarity. Studies suggest that crying triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and reducing anxiety. By embracing this process instead of suppressing it, frequent criers can harness their tears as a tool for maintaining mental and emotional health. This perspective shifts crying from a perceived weakness to a powerful act of self-care. Crying frequently can build resilience, contrary to the popular notion that it signifies fragility. Each tear shed is an acknowledgement of life's challenges, a testament to enduring emotions rather than ignoring them. This acknowledgement is the first step toward growth and strength. Frequent criers often develop a remarkable ability to process and move through pain. Their tears act as stepping stones, helping them navigate life's uncertainties and hardships. Over time, this practice strengthens their emotional resilience, equipping them to face future obstacles with greater fortitude. Additionally, tears foster humility and acceptance. They remind us of our shared humanity and the inevitability of struggle, promoting compassion toward ourselves and others. Frequent criers often exhibit this compassion in their relationships, creating a ripple effect of kindness and understanding. Tears hold a spiritual significance that transcends their physical function. In many traditions, crying is seen as a form of surrender, a way of letting go and aligning with a higher power. For those who cry easily, this act can become a spiritual practice, a path to deeper connection with the divine. When we cry, we release not just emotions but also our need for control. This surrender opens the door to faith, allowing us to trust in life's unfolding even when it feels uncertain. Frequent criers often embody this trust, finding solace in the belief that their tears are part of a greater plan.